Just talking? Well, what's the show about? About nothing.
The FBI just released the file on Kurt Cobain. If anybody didn't see, it was a small report. It was only 10 pages.
It's not long.
Yeah, it's not. There's not much on it, but
they just didn't even investigate.
that basically was part of it. One part of it that the FBI said was that the local PD that was investigating basically started from the beginning believing it was a suicide, and kind of just went with that. Never went outside of the box of that, which different information in the file from the FBI kind of lead fans to believe that they want them to reopen the case, because there are some questionable things like the famed suicide note that Kurt Cobain wrote. The only part that actually talked about death was actually written in another. It looked like another person's handwriting.
Wow.
So they're thinking that, yeah, or maybe the killer added that or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, we already know who did it. Courtney Love.
Dun dun dun. Yeah, that is a prevailing theory amongst people who have conspiracy theories about Kurt Cobain's supposed suicide.
Yeah,
and the thing is, so fans have been reaching out to the FBI saying we reopen the case.
Yeah.
They want closure to what's been going
I wonder
on.
what it takes. Does it take signatures to reopen a case? Does it take evidence to reopen a case?
It's a court order, right?
I'm not really sure. I imagine probably it would
Because it's a closed case, so to reopen a case, you
and
need to.
how many years, dude? That's like I would feel like that's like a statute of limitations type of thing.
So what the FBI did say when people were asking them to reopen the case is that they don't investigate local murders. So
It's like petty shit. No, I'm just kidding.
drug stuff. But so in order for I think the case to get open, they'd probably need to appeal to maybe a local DA or something like that to show. And I would imagine, I think part of it was that there needs to be at least new evidence or information.
Okay, all right.
But a lot of it is, I mean, if anybody's watched like Soaked in Bleach or any of the other Nirvana or the Kurt Cobain stories, like, I mean, the house isn't even there anymore. It's been demolished. So,
It's like the hugest piece of evidence.
yeah. Which was crazy. I think was it Soaked in Bleach that said that the house was demolished, I want to say like a month after the case was closed.
Shit.
A week or a month after the case was
She
closed.
was getting rid of the
That's how you
evidence
cover
real
everything up.
quick.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that none of the local PD found anything suspicious with that, you know? The idea like, oh, we just closed this case and now that house is gone? No, nobody wanted to.
Well, I think initially they couldn't get anyone to buy it, I think. I remember hearing something like that. I mean, I could be
Damn, they didn't give you no time on the market, though.
putting things like together here.
There was no Zillow back then, dude.
I think based on the premise of him committing suicide in the house, the idea was that they couldn't sell it, so they just fucking got rid of it altogether.
It's like, who's going to buy this house? Trust me.
Mind you, that's the idea that they sold.
I feel like
you
a
know,
lot of
let's
people would
say.
buy that house.
That's what
Now, yeah, but at the time, I think it's a
gonna
little
try to-
morbid to
they're
say,
gonna-
I'll buy that house.
Yeah.
I guess I see Rob's point is like you could use that as an excuse, like, oh, I'm not going to be able to sell this house because someone died in there, so I'm going to demolish it.
Yeah.
So you could go that route.
It's a good excuse for her or whoever.
Or, whatever their pronouns are.
Guilty.
But yeah, so the new I guess report has been kind of getting fans really wanting to get closure to this.
Okay.
And so it kind of brought out about a lot of the conspiracy theories. And a lot of them are obviously have always pointed to Courtney Love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I could be biased, but that's usually the route I usually lean. I mean,
after
I also too a lot of my my thoughts are colored by the Soaked in Bleach documentary.
Yeah, exactly, for sure.
Which that is does paint. I mean, it's not the most negative light I don't think Courtney was painted in, but I mean, it definitely didn't paint her in good light.
Yeah.
But I mean, she doesn't do that to herself anyway, so I don't.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's the route I go with it. I'm assuming that she at least I would say had something to do with it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, whether it's like egging someone on, hiring someone,
Yes.
whatever way that worked, because
Yeah.
God only knows. But yeah,
And I mean, if you
Possibly.
think about a lot of the things, like what was one of the main things that I've always found really suspicious was the way that they found the gun in Kurt's hand was not pointed as if you pull the trigger with your thumb, was as if you were holding a shotgun like a handgun
Yeah.
to shoot yourself.
oh, that's horrible.
And so like, which you
physically
really
can't.
physically can't do that.
Yeah, yeah.
Because if you're holding it like that, and if it's a full like,
I remember them saying
Yeah.
too, like your finger can't function that way. Like
Yeah.
I think like the mechanics of your hand from your wrist and here aren't able to pull the trigger hard enough.
Yeah.
Because I think the trigger has like it's a certain like
for a shotgun.
Yeah.
action. Yeah.
yeah, there's the action with it. You need to fucking pull it.
There's like a
And-
tension on it that you need to.
Exactly.
Ah.
Yeah, and they said with that angle, you're incapable of pulling it. There's not enough energy from anybody's hand in that manner. Had it been this way, absolutely.
Oh, that's actually what they said too. Part of it was like you, like not even like they said something about like being like uber strong. Like you wouldn't have the hand muscle to do it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
But I mean, there's so many fishy things about it, and I mean that's one of the like top like what do you call it? Celebrity deaths.
I
Yeah.
say let it go on forever. You know,
Just let it be an urban legend.
It
forever.
immortalizes him anyways. You know, let's say worst case scenario, he becomes unfamous when we find out what happened. You know, like let's say people
We just
are like,
forget about it.
yeah, what if they're like, oh, we already okay, we got it. We're fucking gratifications, just but we move on. You know, and they
Yeah.
forget about him. You know, this immortalized him. You know.
I do hold to that
I mean,
theory.
you should bring a murderer to justice.
If there is a murderer.
If there's a murderer. Yes, they should be
Yeah.
brought to justice.
You don't know.
Which warrants why they should open it though. Because if you think about it, like even if you open it,
Yeah.
like you get people talking about Kurt again. People
Yeah.
think talk about Nirvana again.
Sure. No
I mean-
publicity is bad publicity.
Exactly. I
Yeah.
mean, Dave Grohl will enjoy it.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure.
What, doesn't Courtney own everything?
Oh,
She did at one point.
Oh, she
I don't
did at
know if
one
they
point,
won
huh?
anything back. I don't know what happened with that.
I think his daughter may own some of it.
Oh,
'cause I
okay.
think she started a clothing company based off like some Nirvana merch.
Oh, okay.
I think I could be wrong, but I thought I heard something like that. But
I heard the thing really quick, just because
Yeah.
we're designers and stuff. Did you guys ever hear about the Happy Face designer, the Nirvana Happy Face? He was like, dude, they fucking ripped me off. Like,
Oh,
I drew it, and it was still like my intellectual property and my copyright. And they started using it, and then it got famous really quick, and it was associated with them, and it no longer just by public demand didn't belong to the artist anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, and he never got compensation.
public demand
shit.
can do that.
Well, no, just because of association and how fast they grew
I
to
get
fame.
It. Okay.
Like, no one cares if you're the other saying, well, they screwed me. They're like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like this is Nirvana we're talking about here.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Ah.
he didn't, dude, they didn't give him compensation. They screwed him. And then it became what it became. Like, it identifies that band now.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Maybe he's the one who killed them.
Maybe.
Shit, it goes deeper.
See,
Down to
kids,
the
this
graphic designer.
this is why you never rip off your graphic artist.
Never.
Never, man.
We'll come after you.
But
Got
so,
bills to pay, okay?
so you're on the Courtney.
Yeah, I'm
wagon.
on the Courtney one.
I'm at least Courtney. Possibly she hired somebody.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't think it was. Yeah. I think it was. She hired someone. Of course, I don't think she killed him.
The only
She's a puppet master.
the only
Yeah.
reason I lean towards maybe Courtney is because obviously someone had to get close enough to Kurt for
Yeah, makes sense.
to be trusted. You know.
Well, that other friend was there too, remember? He was like the house hand or
you're
a good
right.
friend or whatever. He was the one that was first there,
They're Kato.
which, yeah, he was the Kato.
Yeah.
And by the way, that's once they started revealing a lot of information about that guy. And then I think it was Courtney's private investigator that ended up coming out and revealing, like, yeah, man, this guy's flagrant, basically. Her private investigator ended up revealing stuff, like, not in her defense,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
And the
you're
guy
right.
name dropped someone.
I don't
Remember in the documentary? The flagrant guy, the weird.
Oh, okay.
He name dropped someone
Okay.
by first name. He's, oh, I shouldn't have said that.
That's right. You're
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's
Did they bleep it
right.
out or?
No,
No.
he said the first name, but that was it.
Yeah.
Never gave a last name.
Oh, I think you're right. I think I
Yeah.
do remember that.
Like he almost gave away something, and we're all like, "Did you just do that?"
Even the guy doing
That's how it
well,
felt.
who's that? Well, who's that? You know? And
Yeah.
he's,
the document.
yeah,
He's, oh, never mind. I shouldn't have said that or whatever.
yeah.
Backpedaled.
And then, of course, I mean, there's that, and then what people say in that video and in that interview is you could hear screams in the background.
Oh, I think I do remember that.
With that conversation.
With that
in
conversation
particular.
videotaped and interviewed, and
Okay.
you could hear screams in the background, like he has another person, like, you know.
That's fucking weird.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know.
I don't remember hearing anything
This is,
like that.
the,
but
what
that's
is-
wild.
The,
It goes, I tell you, dog, you gotta bring your shovels. You know, goes deep.
It goes deep.
I mean-
it really does, dude. I guess.
the one thing that I kind of associate, like I just watched a guy who was breaking down, he was critiquing Oliver Stone's Doors movie, and was saying how he
Nice.
completely portrayed Jim Morrison wrong. Like,
oh,
yeah, I guess Oliver Stone, because everybody only knows Jim Morrison based off of Oliver Stone,
that's how I know.
and he was never into drugs. Like, well, he did drugs, but
Okay.
drugs weren't like alcohol was his thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
a lot of the
yeah.
time they said like he was on, some kind of, whatever drug. It was mostly alcohol.
Yeah.
And he was never not quite the way they portrayed him. Like he wasn't a fumbling buffoon. Like they showed him shirtless so many times, but like he was rarely shirtless on stage.
Mm.
So they kind of portrayed his demeanor wrong. And I bring that up because like pop culture defines people sometimes. And I think Kurt Cobain has been defined as like a depressed kind of like, I hate my success
Yeah.
type person. But like
Yeah.
when you listen to interviews with like Dave Grohl and other people, they're like, nah, like Kurt was always like cracking jokes. He was kind of like,
Yeah.
he had serious takes on things, but
Yeah.
he wasn't like that kind of depressed person. He probably did deal with depression, they said.
Sure.
Yeah.
But, and so since we've painted him that way, like obviously we jump right to suicide.
Yeah, it makes the thought of suicide easier.
Right.
Way
Like, oh
easier.
yeah, of course, that guy was so
Right. That's why
twisted.
it seems so
Boom.
believable.
So like if you saw Kurt Cobain as like a happy-go-lucky, like I'm trying to think of like somebody who like is famous that just always known to be bubbly, and then tell him like, oh, they committed suicide, you're like, nah, like you just automatically disbelief,
Yeah. Dude, Robin Williams.
There you go, yeah.
Robin Williams, that was a huge it was a blow,
And that would leave it more for questioning. Like I wonder if because he was portrayed as such a depressed kind of down person, that's even why the the local police department was like, well, of course it was a suicide.
Yeah.
He was.
There's a note, there's a gun, there's a bullet in his head. He's fucking done,
We don't have to look any further. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a lot of the evidence, or that's all the evidence we need.
Case shut. Demolish the house. Come on.
Yeah.
Check out full episodes of the Strange Noise podcast on Spotify. Episodes also available on your favorite podcast platform.